going to start with exactly what I told you we were going to start about, which is another disastrous, preposterous decision from the Big Ten. And I know all you guys know the story by now, but obviously, look, it goes without saying, for all the happiness that Central Arkansas and Austin Peay brought us on Saturday night, it also said in the reality that we got fired up to watch a Central Arkansas-Austin Peay game, and as of right now, we are not going to see Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Nebraska, Iowa, Michigan State. We're not going to see any of these teams in the fall. And so why I bring this up is because of the fact that the Big Ten made headlines on Friday. We thought we were going to get something, and then we didn't. So let me explain what happened. And that was very simply that as we were all going about our day on Friday afternoon, we start to get these little breadcrumbs that the Big Ten is actually reconsidering playing college football and playing it in the fall, right? So for the last 3 weeks, we are not playing college football. It is not safe, which is preposterous for all the reasons that I've said on this show all along. But we are not playing college football in the fall. I saw actually the Nebraska AD even went so far as to say Nebraska is one of those schools that is fighting hardest to play. He said about a week ago, it's over. We're not playing in the fall. And so all of a sudden you hear this story on Friday, like the Big Ten might actually reverse course. And you're thinking, this is great. They're finally coming to their senses. Their decision makes no sense. And then you hear the details of the plan and you realize, oh my God, these guys are dumber than we thought they were. They are so dumb. They are so idiotic. And the reason is very simply because of the fact that they are trying to now play games in the fall of 2020. I guess the year's 2020. They're trying to play games in the fall of 2020, but they're not going to start until after Thanksgiving. To which it's just the ultimate emoji face palm to the face. What are you doing, Kevin Warren? We are trying to give you the benefit of the doubt. We are trying not to publicly scorn you and criticize you, and we're trying to work with you here and be patient because we want college football. We don't want you to lose your job, but you're going to lose your job if we don't play Big Ten football. And so we get this news, everybody gets excited, and then, oh, by the way, we hear that it's after Thanksgiving, which actually, in my personal opinion, I think that that's actually a worse decision than just pushing back to the spring. And let me explain why. As I just mentioned, Central Arkansas Austin Peay played this week. We get 5 games next week, I believe, including BYU Navy, probably the best game on the Labor Day weekend schedule. And then, like I said, September 12th, ACC, Big 12 are playing. Oh, by the way, 2 weeks later, September 26th, the SEC is playing. All the big boys will be playing by the end of September. They will be ramping up their schedules in October into November. And now the Big Ten wants to start their season on Thanksgiving? How does that make sense? It makes no sense. At least if you're going to play in the spring, at least you have that window to yourself, right? Like, I think playing in the spring is a completely idiotic idea for all the reasons that I've talked about on this show many times over the course of the last couple months. But at least if you're playing in the spring, you're just saying, you know what, Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma, Georgia, LSU, you guys just take the fall. Like we're not playing. Like we'll look at this after the new year. Maybe around the time you guys are crowning a national champion, we will decide to play our season and we'll see what happens. It's idiotic, but at least they're sticking to their guns and saying it's not safe, even though of course we all know that it is, but they're sticking to their guns. Now think about it like this. Think about the fact that they'd be starting Thanksgiving and all of a sudden you're talking about Alabama playing Georgia in the SEC championship game for a spot in the playoff, and everything's on the line. And there's Ohio State Rutgers in week 2 of the season. How am I supposed to get inspired for Ohio State Rutgers week 2 when Alabama and Georgia are playing for the SEC championship? How am I supposed to get excited if I'm an Ohio State fan? Oh, week 6, Penn State, second biggest game on our schedule behind Michigan. Oh, well, that's on the same day that Clemson is playing Alabama in the college football playoff, and nobody cares about Ohio State, not to mention all those other schools in that league. As I had somebody joke with me this weekend, they said, imagine the day of the college football playoff, and whoever ESPN is trying to sell us, Clemson, Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma. And at noon Eastern, Illinois, Purdue. That's the headliner. But that is the reality of what would happen if the Big Ten played a schedule that started on Thanksgiving. It makes no sense. Imagine opening week. Ohio State is playing Maryland at a time when Alabama is playing Auburn in the Iron Bowl. The week after, we're talking about week 2, and Michigan's playing whoever when Florida and Georgia, winner goes to the SEC championship game. And I know they wouldn't be playing each other, but I'm just bringing up hypotheticals here. It just makes no sense, the idea of starting on Thanksgiving. And what it says to me is very simply, the Big Ten is finally starting to feel a little bit of heat from everything that we've talked about on this show over the last couple of weeks. They are starting to feel the heat from the parents who continue to protest, who continue to unite, who continue to ask questions, who continue to fight for their sons. The Big Ten is starting to feel heat from the players who, I don't know if you guys saw this, but the players are now trying to sue the league to demand answers for what happened. On Friday or Thursday, I can't even remember what day, they're all running together, 8 Nebraska players brought a lawsuit against the Big Ten, essentially saying that you're hurting our future earnings. One, we got this name, image, likeness stuff coming down the road. We're trying to earn some endorsements down the road. But also, if we're trying to play in the NFL, how are we going to play in the NFL if we can't play a season? And so the players have now started to sue the league. The parents are uniting. Our buddy Randy Wade, who was on this show last week, he had another protest in Columbus, much more attended than the first one, and the parents are demanding answers. The Big Ten is not going to get off the hook on this. I told you a few weeks ago. On top of those player protests that I just mentioned, the parents have hired Tom Mars, who is like the preeminent lawyer that everybody in the NCAA is terrified of. He is the guy that Shea Patterson hired when he didn't want to have to sit out a year at Michigan. He is the guy that Justin Fields hired when he did not want to sit out a year at Ohio State. And Tom Mars will drag the NCAA through the mud. He does not care. He's trying to do what's right for the players. He's trying to do what's right for the parents. And so I do think the Big Ten is starting to feel the heat. I do think they're starting to realize these parents aren't going to stop. These players aren't going to stop. And we got to do something to figure out what is an appropriate way to get these people to shut up. And to their credit, they're not stopping. And to their credit, I don't think they should stop with this situation. But I think the Big Ten is really starting to get afraid right now. And so what I think the leak that came on Friday, and remember, everything that the Big Ten has done since July has been a strategic leak to try to get public sentiment on their side. That's how we got in this situation. They tried to sell us that it wasn't safe. They tried to sell us that they were going to be the heroes that canceled football before everybody else, and the SEC and the ACC and the Big 12 would look terrible. Didn't happen. And now they're trying to be the heroes again by bringing back college football this fall. But again, it doesn't make sense. It does not make sense, the idea that, oh, by the way, Alabama's playing Oklahoma in the playoff and we got Rutgers, Ohio State. Like it doesn't make sense. And so I hope the parents keep fighting. And by the way, I think even the coaches now are involved. And the coaches on Friday, if you read the reports, were basically like, no, that's not good enough. We want to start the season sooner. We want to start the season and have a season that runs almost parallel to what the rest of college football is doing. And that is the disappointing and frustrating part of this whole situation if you are, in fact, a fan of a Big Ten school, is that this plan doesn't make sense. Starting the season when the rest of the season is basically going to be done, it doesn't make sense. First off, you're starting after Thanksgiving. You're playing through the Christmas holiday, which means that you're going to be practicing and playing Christmas week. You're going to be practicing and playing New Year's week. Meaningless regular season games, by the way. I mean, imagine trying to be Purdue's head coach and the team is 1-4, and you're trying to get them fired up to practice on Christmas Eve. It's just not going to happen. But beyond that, you think about the calendar. It doesn't have to be this way. We still have time. We still have time to get a Big Ten schedule back on track. And why I say that is look at the rest of college football. Look at the rest of college football. First of all, with the Big Ten, remember, most of these teams, if not all of these teams, they're still on campus. And in one of the dumbest parts of this whole situation that nobody's talking about, they're still showing up to the facility to train every day. So it's not as though these guys all got shipped off back to mom and dad's house and they've been sitting on the couch eating Skittles all day. They're still on campus. They're still taking classes. And in a truly idiotic move, they're still expected to show up to the facility and work out. Which, by the way, credit to the players at Michigan, credit to the players at Penn State and Ohio State for actually doing that. Because if I was in college, I don't know how fired up I would be to continue to work out after I've been working out all season when there's no games to be played. But I continue to bring it up because if you look at the calendar, we still have almost 4 full weeks before the SEC starts. And so the fact that all of these teams are still on campus, the fact that they're continuing to work out, there is no reason the Big Ten, as we record here on September 31st to August 31st, there is no reason the Big Ten can't say, we are good. This is the new schedule. There's no reason this cannot happen. Remember, guys are already on campus. They're working out. Why can we not get them back on the practice field by the end of this week? Why can we not get them back on the practice field by the end of this week and start the season right around the first week of October? You do that, you give the teams about 5 full weeks to actually practice, to get in pads, to get reacclimated to hitting. And if you start the first week of October, you still got only 1 week gap between when the SEC does not start until September 26th. So you mean to tell me that on August 31st, we can't make a decision to get practice going by September 3rd and that we can't play by August 4th or 5th? It makes no sense. Even October 4th or 5th, even October 12th, you could start the second week and still get in an 8-game schedule. And here's the other part. Remember, the SEC championship game is 2 weeks later than it usually is. So the SEC championship game isn't being played until December 19th. So why can't we get these kids back in the facility this week, which they've already been, back on the practice field this week, start October 4th, and all of a sudden you're talking about, what is that? That's about 12 weeks. You got 10 weeks, You got 10 weeks, 4 in October, 4 in November, 2 in December. You pick 2 teams and you let them play for the conference championship on December 19th, just like the SEC is. There is no reason we can't do that. There is no reason we cannot squeeze in an 8-game schedule starting October 1st, crown a Big Ten champ, and get them back in line with everybody else. The Big Ten needs to admit they're wrong. They just need to adopt the fact that this can still be done. And so I hope the players continue to fight, and I hope the coaches continue to fight and just say, this is not good enough. This is unacceptable. We can pull this off. By the way, I don't know if you saw this headline. Over the weekend, Michigan, one of their guys on the staff tweeted out that they had 0 positive tests during the month of October. That is an insane stat. 0 positive tests the entire month of October. I'll read you the tweet verbatim from my buddy Sean McGee, a guy I know. He said, enormously proud of Michigan football players. For the month of August, we administered 822 COVID tests with 0 positive results. 0 positives out of 822 at Michigan. And we can't play football, and it's not safe. And so I hope these coaches keep fighting. I hope these players and parents keep fighting because, again, there is no reason they cannot be playing the first week of October. But they need to continue to fight, and they need to say no to this garbage Thanksgiving plan. It's unacceptable. It doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. I'm just curious to see if they can actually pull it off. I think the big thing now is to continue to put pressure on the people that are feeling the heat. It's not just Kevin Warren, but it is also the school presidents, and it is also, even in some cases, the governors of these states. My understanding is when you look at the Big Ten footprint, there is one person more than anybody else that is holding this whole thing up, and that is the governor of Michigan, whose name is Gretchen Whitmer, okay? Gretchen Whitmer, who sounds like, I'm just going to call her Cruella DeVille because that's what she is. She's crushed the souls of everyone in Big Ten country. Gretchen Whitmer, she is the governor of Michigan, and she has been one of the most outspoken people about the fears of coronavirus, the fears of COVID, and she went so far this week as to say that she was proud of the Big Ten for making the decision to cancel the season, which I'm pretty sure did not play well with anyone in her state. They've also canceled high school football, and so we got to keep putting the pressure on. The coaches have to keep putting the pressure on. The parents keep having to put the pressure on. The players do. If you want to help, I told you this weeks ago, go ahead. Email the governor's office. Email the governor's office in Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer, Cruella DeVille, and tell her this is not acceptable. Tell her this will not work for you. We need to get football back on the field in October and play a full Big Ten schedule. It's only fair to the players who've worked so hard, who have been responsible. It's only fair to the parents. It's what's best for their physical health. It's what's best for the mental health. It's what's best for the economy of these states. I've been telling you for months, the economic effects of no football are going to be crippling on these athletic departments, on these towns. We need to continue to push. That is the big one. Michigan, I believe, is the one that's holding it up. Their governor, Gretchen Whitmer, and then also their school president has a background in infectious disease. But listen, the data's out at this point, right? You saw the data on Sunday from the CDC, which said that something in the neighborhood of 6% of people who have died and been marked as COVID deaths, about 6% of those people died from COVID. Not to say that it's not serious, not to say that we don't wish that no one died from this situation, but what the CDC basically said on Sunday, is that 6% of all COVID deaths were directly related to COVID, which means that 94% came from other, what's the word? I've been talking about this so much and I can't even remember the word. Other comorbidities, right? Diabetes, high blood pressure, overweight. COVID didn't help, but COVID was not the primary reason. And so I think that Governor Whitmer is already feeling enough heat with that. I think a lot of these people are feeling heat as we get more information. It'll be interesting to see, but I'm just telling you, I don't think this Big Ten fight is over, and I do hope these parents, these players, do keep fighting. All right.